Good morning, afternoon, or evening. Your video is about to start. I wanted to remind you of our newer Wednesday, 1 p.m. live stream Q&A on all things Social Security. Visitors are welcome to post a question in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer it. It's on a first come, first serve basis, so please get there on time. Otherwise, if you care to be a member and get some different kinds of perks, feel free to click the join button below or just click it to learn about them. Anyway, I hope to see you Wednesday. If not, enjoy the video. Bye now. Good morning or afternoon or evening. I am looking at something. It had come across my screen, um, and it was a statement saying that Social Security records show that 6.5 million people in the United States have reached the ripe old age of 112. So, of course, we all know that's not true, right? So I delved a little deeper only because I was real curious. Like, I mean, the only reason they would have said it is because someone that old would be able to get retirement, assuming they or their spouse worked to get them that old during their lifetime. And it only takes 10 years of work, right? 10 years of part-time work to get retirement. And can you imagine 6.5 million people that are at 112 years old? How many more millions are at 111, 110, 109? I mean, it's just insane. So what it was suggesting was that the SSA has not canceled. I mean, this is the implication. Um, and I should say this article, when I looked it up, was from 2015. I will attach, it was with Associated Press, it was with NPR, I think it was with Fox. Um, so there's multiple ones that came out in 2015 when I guess this came out. I did a search, simple search, not necessarily carved in stone, to see if there was a more recent one where someone checked this again, however they did it, to see if that had been corrected, if they took these very old people that clearly are not alive off their ranks and stopped paying them. But it makes you wonder if they had records that said there were 6.5 million people alive at the age of 112. And remember, all you have to be is, 65, 66, 67 and above, actually 62 in theory, because you can collect early retirement. Imagine the massive amounts of people that are potentially getting paid. Now, sometimes on Fridays, I do report um, where somebody has been collecting a benefit off of a dead relative or a dead friend or a dead somebody they don't even know, but they stole the ID and they had those checks diverted to them and they never reported the person as deceased, but let the monies continue to flow in every month and have been collecting, and they get prosecuted here and there. But at this, the rate of the numbers that I'm looking at, 6.5 million, it turns out, according to the different reports I'm seeing, so I'm just being kind of a hearsay repeater. I'm not looking at the actual data myself. There's only about 40 people worldwide that are at or above 112 years old. So certainly 6.5 million people in the US are not that old. We're one of the most unhealthy societies out there. So it was crazy. But the bigger point is when we talk about whether it's fraud, waste, abuse, lack of oversight, payments going out with not a brain cell of an employee saying, wait a minute, how can we be sending, Jesus, $6.5 million checks to people that are 112 years old? You'd think that would have been like ding, ding, ding. And again, I don't know if it's been rectified since 2015. I could find nothing in my simple search engine methods of seeing if there was any newer reports saying, okay, that's been corrected, and here's the new number the SSA is giving about the number of people over 112 or over 100. I know there's people over 100, quite a bit more, but 112? Come on now. So I'm just looking at one particular AP article. And again, this one's dated March 16th, 2015, but it was just like shocking. I'm like, wow. Did they ever recoup those millions of people that probably were collecting, even though they're dead? Did they ever recoup all that money? How much of it was paid out to dead people? and spent by somebody else. Inquiring minds want to know. Um, what were they saying? Hold on a minute. It just zapped off my screen. Yeah, AP says as of last fall, and again we're talking about 2015, there were only 42 people known to be that old, 112 in the entire world. And it says, but Social Security does not have death records for millions of these people, with the oldest born in 1869, according to a report by the agency's Inspector General. Only 13 of the people are still getting Social Security benefits, the report said. Okay, so that's not too bad. It's not the millions, but for others, their Social Security numbers are still active, so a number could be used to report wages, open bank accounts, obtain credit cards, or claim fraudulent tax refunds. Okay, so it sounds like they're saying, no, 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 there's 112 there's a 6 million 112-year-olds in the country, but we're only paying 13 of them. I find that hard to believe too. So they're not paying all 6.5. But the fact that they still have them as alive means that, yes, ID theft can go ahead and use those numbers, obviously illegally, to report wages, open bank accounts, obtain credit cards, or claim fraudulent tax refunds. And then Senator Ron Johnson said at that time, this is a real problem. When you have a fake Social Security number, that's what allows you to fraudulently do all kinds of things, claim things like the earned income tax credit or other tax benefits. Okay, so I think again, going back to it, SSA is not paying, was not, again, this is 10 years ago, paying all those people, which is interesting because how could only 13 people of people that supposedly lived to 112, only those are still getting Social Security benefits? I wonder if they were able to at least shut off the benefits after not getting a response to periodic check-ins. I believe people have to occasionally maybe respond to requests by SSA to show where they still live or to establish that they're still alive. But my mom, I don't think she's had a request like that. She's been here 14 years with me, and I don't think I've ever seen such a thing come across the desk. So, I mean, granted, maybe it's because I don't know if Medicare reports that the person showed up. And so they're still, I don't know. I don't know how they do that because it seems very, I don't know, it's not very transparent, right? Um, so I guess back at that time, they were doing hearings and such in Congress on the problems with death records maintained by the SSA. And they were going to be working on legislation to make it easier for Social Security to use information from states to maintain more accurate death records. I do know, and I think I reported on this sometime in the past, many states, I believe, have arrangements with the federal government, the SSA, to make sure those deaths get reported. I don't know that it was all states. Um, I feel like I recall that it was not, which is weird. Um, yeah, that's nuts. I mean, just the look at it. How can they even not look at 6.5 million people allegedly alive over 112 years old in the USA when that's a near impossibility. There's 43 people worldwide. Um, they go on to say an internal watchdog's report does not document any fraudulent or improper payments to people using these 6.5 million numbers, but it raises red flags that it could be happening. You think? Oh my gosh, you think? How do they? I mean, we see it all the time. For example, nearly 67,000 of the Social Security numbers were used to report more than 3 billion in wages, tips, and self-employment income from 2006 to 2011, according to the report. Okay, so that's 67,000 illegally used Social Security numbers of dead people to report more than 3 billion in wages. So that's someone who doesn't have a Social Security number. Presumably it's an illegal alien. Um, who does not have the right to work here and is doing so anyway to, you know, self-support if look at the positive side of it, illegally, of course. It says that one social security number was used 613 different times. Someone's sleeping behind the wheel. I suppose this is why we're doing an overhaul of the federal government for lack of oversight that has been going on for decades. An additional 194 numbers were used at least 50 times. People in the country illegally often use fake or stolen social security numbers to get jobs and report wages. I'm reading the document here now, guys. This is not me speaking. It's me speaking, but not me creating, as do other people who do not want to be found by the government. Yeah, it could be people on the lam, I suppose, fugitives. Thieves use stolen social security numbers to claim fraudulent tax refunds. So maybe they aren't collecting social security benefits, but they're collecting tax refunds, those child credits where you don't actually have to earn money to get money sent to you by the government, yada, yada. Um, it goes on to say that the IRS estimated it paid out 5.8 billion in fraudulent tax refunds in 2013. Again, this is dated because this article is 2015, but it was just such an in-the-face thing, and people for some reason are talking about it right now. I saw some stuff from January 2025 about this, but when I looked it up, I'm like, yeah, well, it is a report from 10 years ago, but it is interesting. It's always a little disconcerting to me when there's not an update, like where they corrected the situation and they brag about it. Come on, you should be telling us if you fixed it. I can't imagine they'd keep quiet if they fixed it after it's already been published as a problem. You'd think they'd be bellowing that from the rooftops, but they have. I don't think they have. I'll dig a little bit, when I get some spare time. But um, so yeah, people are getting billions of dollars in fraudulent tax refunds because of the ID theft. The head of the Justice Department's tax division described how it's done at a recent congressional hearing. Okay, blah blah blah. Um, well, the way he describes it is, quote, the plan is frighteningly simple. Steal Social Security numbers, file tax returns showing a false refund claim, and then have the refunds electronically deposited or sent to an address where the offender can access the refund checks. Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes, as far as I understand. In some cases, the false tax returns are filed using Social Security numbers of deceased taxpayers or others who are not required to file. I'm guessing that's where most of the fraud came with those 6.5 million likely dead people who on the books are alive in 112. The Social Security Administration generates a list of dead people to help public agencies and private companies know when Social Security numbers are no longer valid for use. My gosh. The list is called the Death Master File, which includes the name, Social Security number, date of birth, and date of death for people who have died. The list is apparently widely used by employers, financial firms, credit reporting agencies, and security firms. Federal agencies and state and local governments rely on it to police benefit payments. Apparently, they don't do such a good job. But none of the 6.5 million people cited by the Inspector General's report was on that list. Yeah, so the death master list doesn't include 6.5 million dead people because they're noted as being alive at age 112. Goodness. Okay. Hmm. Okay, so this would make sense. Many of the people cited in the Inspector General's report never actually received benefits, though they were assigned Social Security numbers so spouses and children could receive them, presumably after they died. So that makes sense. If a person dies before they collect, now their spouse and children get those survivor benefits on their Social Security payment record that they had. This is funny. The agency says it has corrected death information in more than 200,000 records, but fixing the entire list would be costly and time-consuming because Social Security needs proof that a person is dead to add them to the death list, said Brune, the agency official. But why can't they, send a something to, and I know there can be problems with this, but something has to be done where, everyone who's collecting Social Security has to check in every year or two. Let us know you're alive. Fill it, send them a form or they have to go online and fill it out, blah, blah, blah. There's still going to be fraud with that. And the people that will be against any kind of accountability will say the following. You can't do that because some old people won't be able to do it. True, true, true. Some of them won't get their mail because mail gets lost if it's going to go by mail. Some are never going to be able to navigate getting online and reporting that way. But usually those people are being cared for by somebody who can, such as family members or a nursing home. So perhaps it needs to be whoever has almost like conservatorship over that old person, um, if there is one, or some other thing, such as if they have a representative payee. Maybe that person should be the one that's certifying they are still alive and sending in proof. Maybe it's a recent doctor visit because they have Medicare and they do get health care and they have medications that are going out. That might be one way to help substantiate. It might be that nothing is 100% conclusive. Nothing normally is. Criminal trials are not 100% conclusive. That's why we only prove them someone guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. There can be doubt. It just has to be the amount of persuasion has to be beyond the level of just reasonable doubt. It's got to be a little less than reasonable that's left to question. A concept from my criminal law days. Um, yeah, so they corrected 200,000 records out of 6.5 million. And that 6.5 million is for people over 112 and over. How about the people that are 105 to 112? That's another 7 years worth of people. I mean, there's got to be tons more millions if they're only talking about 112 and over. Anybody disagree with that? Um, uh, The Brune, whoever that is, the speaker, noted that the Inspector General's report did not verify that any of the 6.5 million people are actually dead. Instead, the report assumed they are dead because of their advanced age. You think? Yeah, let's run with that. I would. This is crazy. Anyway, I'll share this too. It is certainly dated. I am just curious. And I'll attach a couple of the other ones too, just so you see it from a variety of my least favorite news sources, but that's what you have today. Um, Interesting. I'd be curious if they've cleaned it up. They don't care to devote time to making a policy that, maybe there is an assumption that, once you hit the age of 104 or 100, you have to kind of establish that you're still breathing or the money stopped. And as soon as the money stopped, someone who wants those monies, if they're handling that person, are going to be ding, 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 ding. They're going to be jumping to the forefront to take care of business. So I don't know. That's just a thought. Anyway, interesting, huh? 6.5 million 112-year-olds walking around, or I don't know, in a coma. I don't know. Anyway, have a good day, guy. Have a good day, guys. I just thought it was interesting. And that's, of course, how fraud and money gets stolen from the SSA and the IRS, and probably a variety of other sources, particularly those that we see often in our fraud law review on Fridays. So there you have it. Bye, guys.